Hello everyone, my name is Brian and welcome to another Smite commentary. And for today we'll finally play the male version of Naja. He had a very cool skin, he finally matured and turned into this handsome young fella. And we'll try and play him to our best of our ability in our arena. Why I say that is because Naja isn't the best arena character. Naja generally doesn't perform very well in team fights, and the reason I'm saying that is just because he is single target oriented, he has a single target stun, he has a single target ultimate. His ring toss is probably the best impact into a team fight as for kind of utility. It slows, it deals damage, it increases his movement speed, which is definitely not bad. And I feel like that he is very much, I get one of the enemies out of the fight and then I try to get out. Because if you look at the opponent side, they have a couple that can be very annoying. Thor can set up a lot, usually more tanky-like build, so it's not my main target. If you look at the targets, Ao Kuang, as well as, talking about Ao Kuang, a lot of damage on him as well as on the enemy Terra. We will not be able to pick up anyone, but we are forcing them back, which is never a bad thing. But a couple of other targets are of course the Nox and the Medusa. They can deal a lot of damage late game, the three of those. So the Nox, the Ao Kuang and the Medusa, late game damage is insane. Ooh, barely off the mark. But their damage can be insane, and if you can take as an Naja some of them into the air, if one of your teammates is there to follow up, they will die generally. It's very difficult for them to survive once they've taken into the sky by Naja. Especially if I build Deathbringer, my ultimate will deal a lot of damage, and for them that will be very difficult to deal with. So Naja is very good at taking one out of the fight and most of the times even finishing them off, especially as for the late game. You'll be able to confirm a lot of kills with that, and that can be very useful for the team fights. But why I'm saying that it's in general not as good as an arena character is because you always have the 5-on-5 team fights. At least most of the time. Of course you can fight over a jungle buff with less, but generally you're a 5-on-5, and in a 5-on-5 you are as well in the air as the enemy you take. So that means that you will have to deal with that. As for when you land down, you'll be in an awkward spot as well if your team doesn't have the pressure. Let's see, talking about pressure, a lot of pressure. Oh, that's unfortunate. Ao Kuang had the CC immunity from using his ultimate, and because our our Izanami was in execute range, that has resulted in a kill on her. But she also, Ao Kuang was also CC immune, so my ultimate didn't do anything. It's rough. We are able to get a couple of return kills for it, so in the end it's worth it for us, even though they did get first blood. It's just a bit unfortunate that I kind of wasted my ultimate. I probably should not have tried to go for Ao Kuang. If I was a little bit sooner, I could have gotten him, because of course that Ao Kuang doesn't have his CC immunity immediately, so if I was quick enough, I think I could have saved him and potentially finish off the Ao Kuang as well. Decent damage on the Nox. She turns into the she goes into the Medusa, and that will make her survive that engagement. Well played, especially by the Medusa as well, retreating immediately, because if we get the Medusa and finish her off, the Nox will be very easy for us to pick up because of the fact that she doesn't have her escape anymore. She's quite vulnerable. Other than the skin change, they didn't really do anything except for the ult markings. So if you take someone into the air, you will have different marking to indicate if you have to click or not. In my opinion, it doesn't really matter for me anymore because, well, I got used to clicking at the right moment anyway. The marking doesn't really change that for me. Let's see. As you can see here, the marking kinda, if the pedals are fully around the circle, you can go for that click, and if you press your button soon enough, you'll have that critical hit for that additional damage. Well, it's just straight up a lot of damage, especially if I have Deathbringer online. I have insane amount of damage left. Decent teleport. With my 3, I did use my purification beads to get out of a sticky situation. Nice meditation, I will get out. Let's grab this buff before we head back to base, because that will provide me enough gold to get that Jotuns. And Jotuns is something I like to get before I go for any crit items. You can go for Deathbringer immediately, but it's very expensive. It's a lot of money you need to invest into that. And it doesn't provide any penetration. With the Jotuns you'll be able to use your ring toss a lot more, which deals a good amount of damage. You'll be able to use your sash more, your 2 for the healing. Your 2 heals when your passive is stacked up. You stack it up by using abilities like, for instance, ring toss, critting, etc. There are a lot of ways to stack up your passive. It stays there for a while, even while you're out of combat. And you can stack them up again by, well, basic attacking, ring toss, etc. And depending on the amount of stacks you have, you can use your 2 to heal yourself. So having less cooldown on my 2 is also useful when it comes to healing myself in sticky situations. And having my ultimate up more often is also very good when it comes to forcing out purification beads. Talking about forcing out stuff, well, that will be a dead Ao Kuang. Even though my ult was enough to finish it off, they were waiting underneath to make sure that that kill was secured. So that's always something you want to look for. If the target's low enough, you don't really have to use anything. But just in case they were underneath, making sure that the enemy Ao Kuang doesn't get away. Because if he gets the opportunity, he will just teleport and he's out. His teleport is an extremely good ability to get away with. So I'm glad my team was there. It wasn't necessary this time, but the next time around it might be necessary for them to follow up with some damage. And then we will have that kill secured. So far we are quite ahead, we are 9-1. We have a little bit of a better early game team comp than they do. They have the Thor, in my opinion, that's the best early game they have. Wow, that's a lot of damage. Well, Medusa has a decent early game as well. Let's see, let's use Sanctuary, try to get out as much as I can. Oh, whoa! That Terra meditation was insane. Okay, so if you didn't notice, I got hit by the ultimate from Nox. That brought me below the threshold for the Ao Kuang to use his ultimate and execute me. At the moment the Ao Kuang used his ultimate or casted it on me, our Terra used meditation. And that meditation healed me up above the threshold. So that made sure that I did not get executed by that, by that ultimate. Which made me survive, and we were able to pick up that Ao Kuang. Ultimate used by the enemy Thor. I do need to be a little bit careful. Don't want to get hit by anything. Still have my purification beads. Good time to use it. Otherwise the double tap will secure a kill on me, or at least a lot of damage. Anubis is able to pick up the Thor. So, good engagement for us, to be honest. We were in front of that base. We didn't die, and we picked up one. Not going to complain about that one. Let's get a ring toss. That's something you can look for if you're a Naja. If there's one big minion left, you can just throw out your ring toss. It will bounce through to nearby targets if they're close enough. And that way you will secure a decent amount of damage on them. And with that, annoy the enemies as well. I mean, you slow them, you deal damage. You increase your own movement speed, so it can be useful as an escape as well. Ooh, barely out of range. I don't think I would have been able to pick up anything with it, but a lot of damage can be useful. And an achievement. Oh yeah, Naja did get his achievements. I think one of them is get a ring toss between targets and get each target for at least 2 or 3 hits, something like that. Not too difficult, especially for instance in other game modes where, for instance Conquest, if you are against 2 opponents in the jungle, if you get a ring toss between them, it will go very quickly and you will have that achievement. Done, completed. It's not too difficult. Ooh, that's unfortunate. Izanami was picked up by the enemies. Looks like our Terra used her ultimate as well as the enemy's Terra. So, it's not really an advantage anymore. Both sides have a Terra, so if the ultimates are used at the same time, you don't really get any sort of additional use out of that one. Let's grab this buff if we can. The Thor is around the corner. Can we get it in time? We did get it in time. No, no. Whoa. Wow, that's CC chain. That CC chain was insane. So I got stunned by the, I think by the Thor, and after that I got silenced by the Nox. I tried to go for the ultimate immediately to take the Thor into the air. I wasn't in time with that, unfortunately, because of the silence from the Nox. So that kind of resulted me in dying. It was quite greedy from me. I didn't realize that the enemy team was already on their way, and my team wasn't just yet. Makes sense because I was kind of playing aggressive. So it's more my part that I played so aggressive. Should have paid a little bit more attention to where the enemies were. But should be fine. Let's make sure that these minions don't get through. And after that we can try to fight something. I do have my ultimate up in 20 seconds or so. Something you can do as Naja as well when you're dealing with a lot of enemies that have a good amount of purification beats up. So if they have the purification beats up almost all the time when you're going for that ultimate, usually you'll go for that ultimate when you use your 3 and then your ultimate. But sometimes you can go for waiting, so use your 3 and don't go for your ultimate. Because if they, for instance, they save their own lives once by doing that. Nice, CC'd him just to make sure that she didn't get away. From that, Anubis ultimate will secure that kill. But like I was saying, if someone uses purification beads after your sash to prevent your ultimate and does so successfully once, then try to mix it up wow, that's a lot of damage. Oh, I'm so dead. But try to mix it up sometimes by going just for the sash and don't follow up with your ultimate, because if they think that you go for that ultimate, they will use the purification beads the same as they did the time before. And with that, you can kind of make sure that you don't waste your ultimate, but you do force out the purification beads, so you'll have that opportunity the next time your 3 is up. So that's a good way you can kind of play it. The reason I'm going now for the Winged Blade is not because they have a good amount of slows, because they almost have no slows on the enemy side. The only real slow they have is when Ao Kuang throws out his dragons, his 2, or when the Medusa uses her ultimate and I'm not watching her. So, as for immunity to slow, it's not huge benefit. But what in my opinion is probably the most important part about this, and that's definitely going to be a kill, this one. Landing quite safe because the Nox was the one I took into the in this sky. She couldn't put a silence underneath me, which is, by the way, a very good counter. But the Winged Blade, the Winged Wand, excuse me, does provide a lot of well, health. It's, I think, 300 health, which is definitely a good. Oh, I'm so dead. But provides me 300 health. It provides me additional attack speed. It provides me additional movement speed, which both are very useful for me. So all in all, it's a very cost-efficient item and provides me a decent amount of additional health. I have 2050 health now, which I probably would have had if I was just at level 20. I think I would have been even underneath the 2000 mark if I didn't go for that Winged Blade. So the HP on Naja is not insane. It's not a bad thing to get some form of defense or hybrid item. In this case, I'm going for additional health, additional movement speed, immunity to slow when they are using it, as well as just a lot of little things that make it a very good item, especially for the cost. Wow, that's a lot. That's a huge crit damage. 994, and that's just with the Deathbringer. I don't have insane power because, of course, I went for that Wing Blade, and it's not 5 or not 6 items into the game just yet. So the amount of crit you can do as a Naja is probably the highest in the game, because the multiplier on his basic attack, the last basic attack that's also an AoE attack, will actually deal double the regular damage. And if you crit at that moment, well, you saw there, it was almost 1000 crits, so that's insane. Again, using the big minion for that bounce, it slows them a little bit. Nox, well aware that I was going for that one. If I got the dash, she would have died, guaranteed. And I had my ultimate up, of course. Let's just take the Ao Kuang into the sky. Take him out of the fight for a little bit. He might land in a lot of damage from my team. Doesn't look like it. We did force the enemy his sanctuary, but unfortunately enough, too much damage on the opponent's side. Can't really do anything else. I hope the Terra can get out. Looks like she can, so we should be fine for now. The Juggernaut is coming in, so we do need to make sure that we stop that one. Let's get this Tides of Bane, just to make sure that I deal a lot of damage. As people level up a little bit more, they will have more base physical protection, because that's skills with your level. So going for that penetration later in the game is more effective than taking it very early. Early on, flat protection reduction is usually better, as for instance, Jotuns, Brawler's Beat Stick, something like that, that has flat... Oh, I'm so dead. That was way too greedy. Again, the Nox waiting for that combo. That's something I need to be more aware of at the moment, because if I go for that engagement, doesn't matter on who, if the Nox is not the one I'm focusing, she can just use her silence and her root to put me in an awkward spot, immediately CCing me, enable or disabling me from doing anything else. So that makes it a little bit difficult for me to do anything. So I do need to be aware when she has used her two, I can engage, or I can engage on her, one of the two. Final item I'm going for is Spirit Rope. It's not a bad item, provides me cooldown reduction, which is never a bad thing. Wow, that's a big crit. What? Somehow I got kinda... It's kinda shoved me a bit to the right. That was awkward. But I was able to pick up at least one with that crit. Crit on my 3. So that's also an interesting part. You can actually crit with your 3. Which sometimes is really underestimated, but it can be very devastating. I mean, 600 crit, that's a lot. Especially for an ability I can hit from a distance. But of course you do need to be lucky having that crit. Unless you go for a full crit build. I mean, you can get 95% crit chance with items, and if you have your 2 activated, you'll be at a 100% crit chance. So it's an option. It's not a build I would recommend. It has no pen, it has no additional health, it has nothing in addition. No, it's just crit. It's a lot of damage you will do, don't get me wrong, but if someone builds a lot of defenses, that will counter you very well. Ooh, that Medusa is wrecking our entire team, doing a lot of damage. Looks like Terra is in an awkward spot as well. I can try to go... Oh no, her wall blocked me off as well. I wanted to go and engage on the Medusa, but she just used her wall. It's fine, but we are still ahead by a lot. That's because we got a couple of Juggernauts through, actually. So that's definitely very good for us. I think we got at least one through. Did we get the second one? I'm not sure. Let's just ult the Medusa if I can. Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Okay, that's also what I was mentioning. I was in the air, and the Nox just put her 2 underneath me. So I landed into that one. Insane damage immediately. 700 damage. And unfortunately enough, the enemy Medusa died before I even went into the sky. So I took nobody to the sky. I literally died for nothing in the air. I was in the air for nothing. I was attacking nothing. It's like, why is that a thing? Why? But okay, we'll just have to deal with it. Only one more to go. Oh my god, that was so off the mark. Ultimate used by our Terra. Let's just engage as hard as we can. Medusa is the prime target, and we will be able to crit her for a decent amount. And that will secure the kill for the final kill we need to make sure that we win this match. 63-0. So with only 4.4 kills of difference between the teams, we are more than 60 points ahead. And that all had to do with the fact that we got two Juggernauts through the portal, which is insane. Got 2 achievements. I think one of them is getting someone into the air, I'm not sure. But as you can see, a lot of damage, just crits, definitely doing work. And the poke ring toss. Ring toss early game does an insane amount of burst damage, to be honest. And late game is just poke, slowing them enemies. Giving yourself the additional movement speed is just overall very good ability. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Kind of showing off the new skin from the Naja, as well as the pedals on the ultimate. Looks pretty neat. I don't feel like it really helps or not help you time it correctly. It's just, I feel like it's quite simple to time it correctly if you know the timing. Especially if you played him a couple of times, then it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, good luck, have fun, and I'll see you guys in the next one.